Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Barkha Dutt and you're with the Mojo Story, our independent digital platform that brings you the most important newsmakers from around the world. On the program today, we're going to be talking about one of the most respected and iconic names of India. We all know him as our country's Metroman for his great contribution to multiple metro and infrastructure projects across the country. An engineer by training, he is now in his 80s taking the plunge into politics ahead of the assembly elections in Kerala. E Sreedharan is going to be joining the BJP. And it is a very interesting choice that has triggered a wide national conversation, both the decision to join politics and the decision to join the BJP. Like I said, Mr. Sreedharan remains in many ways a middle-class icon, a self-made man who has garnered international headlines for his enormous contribution to the development of the country, remaining active in Kerala even today. In fact, finishing a project even as we speak. It is my pleasure to welcome to the program on this special broadcast, Mr. Sreedharan. Welcome, sir. And like I said, I think for so many Indians, we have grown up admiring you. You have been such an iconic name, such a household name. And now at 88, when most people would think that you finally decide to take it easy, you decide to do something completely different, join politics. Before I get to the BJP and why the BJP and what made you choose the BJP, I first want to understand, in people's 80s, they're thinking of tending to their garden, reading books, taking it easy. You obviously decided not to go that route. You've obviously still got a lot of energy in you. So what made you decide this complete career shift, the complete life path shift at the age of 88?
Thank you very much, Barkha, for very nice words you have spoken about me. Well, I am quite advanced in age, no doubt. But till now, I have been shouldering a lot of um, professional responsibilities. All my responsibilities are now over. And I felt this is a good opportunity for me to contribute little more to this state in which I am born, that is Kerala state. And this is a very opportune moment also because Kerala state, during the last quite a few years, only two parties, LDF and UDF, alternately they were ruling the state. And both the regimes have been ridden with a lot of scandals, a lot of misappropriation of funds, and there no real tangible progress has come to the state so far during the last few years. A simple example I can tell you is not even one industry has come to Kerala during the last 20 years. And Kerala is a place where good education is available. There are such a lot of educated unemployment people at the lower middle class level. Unless industries come to the state, there is no hope for this state, which is known as the God's own country, really speaking. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. God's own country, Kerala is referred to as the God's own country. I thought, let me try whether the whole atmosphere can be changed. A good regime, a good rule can be brought over here. All sections of the people can be brought together. All shades of political opinion can be brought together. And something I can do for the good of the state, particularly in regard to basic facilities required, development activities, and the industries into the state.
Let me ask you this. You have been part of multiple infrastructure metro projects in Kolkata, in Kochi, in Delhi. Did you think maybe that you should join politics as an independent so you did not get associated with any one political party? Because many states would like to claim India's Metroman as their own. Many parties would want to claim you as their own, but you chose one party. Did you think a lot about that? Was the choice automatic? Had you always been a BJP supporter? Have you always been a BJP fan? Or was there some other basis for you to choose one party above the others?
Well, till now, I never had any particular fascination for any political party. Okay. Although I've been a BJP sympathizer for quite a few years also. And that has been my background, the way I've been brought up also. So when it came to that, I find both the parties in Kerala available today, I cannot go with them. There is a third choice available, BJP. BJP is not a very big political strength in the state today. I know that very well. But it is possible to change the image of the party, the stature of the party, and party has got excellent ideas how to develop the state. That is why I decided to join BJP.
Okay. When you say you have been a BJP supporter for many years, do you remember that time when you felt as a citizen that you supported the BJP above other parties? Because you have worked, as I said, closely with many governments, and you have worked on on these metro projects with other parties as well, and governments led by other parties.
It's very correct. For example, when I started Delhi Metro,
Yes.
Mrs. Sheila Dishit was the chief minister. I had an excellent rapport with him. I used to admire her, but she never treated me or never worked as a politician. I can want to tell you that. She was really a chief minister, a chief executive of the state, and gave full freedom, full support for my thing. That has been my experience in all other areas as well. Now, BJP, yes, as I told you, I have been having sympathized with BJP for quite a long time. It started when Modi was the chief minister of Gujarat. And I was doing the studies for various metros in Gujarat state. Very closely I had to deal with him. I could see his courage, decision-making process, and a passion for doing things for the country. A blind passion he has got to do something good for the country all the time. And that has definitely encouraged me. And more than anything is one single act of the Prime Minister then when I started the metro, first section metro was opened. The Prime Minister was Atal Bihari Vajpayee. His single action of purchasing the ticket himself for traveling, first travel the metro, that gave me such a lot of encouragement and inspiration. That he was really showing the spirit of BJP. That the metro should never succumb to the sort of free travels and things like that, and ultimately become a financial failure. That should not happen. These sort of things what made me attached to the BJP.
Talk a little bit about your relationship with Prime Minister Modi. You said that ever since he was Gujarat Chief Minister, you got to know him better and you think he has a blind passion for the country. First, let me ask you, this decision to join the BJP, have you had any conversation with the Prime Minister? Had he ever informally discussed with you that you should join politics and you should join the BJP?
No, not at all.
Okay. So
there was absolutely no guidance or no hint even that I should join BJP. This is my personal decision.
And have you spoken with him since then? Have you spoken with any of the central leaders of the BJP?
No.
You have said since your decision to join the BJP that you believe that the Prime Minister and his politics have been sometimes misrepresented by the media or by sections of the media. And there are many people who are your fans who may not be political supporters of the BJP. What would you say to those people today who are Sreedharan's fans but not the BJP's fans, who worry about, for example, hyper-nationalism, who worry about Hindutva politics? What would you say to those people who say, Mr. Sreedharan, we love you, but we are not comfortable with the BJP's politics. We have some other politics.
Now, I can always explain to them what will be the agenda of the BJP. And any agenda which is going to be injurious to any sections of society or any particular region, I'm not going to be a party to that. I strongly believe that BJP stands for the whole country. BJP represents all the sections of the society, all regions of the country. And that should be our attitude. That has been the tradition of this country. Everybody has got the freedom to speak anything. Let them do that. But basically, we are for the country, and we are for all the people of the country. This message will be definitely going out.
And yet, Mr. Sreedharan, there has been a huge amount of controversy over what some BJP states have called love jihad. They believe that this is some sort of insidious religious conversion attempt, and there are many others, and I have interviewed many interfaith couples who say this is our choice. Once we are above 18 years old, it is our choice to decide who we want to be with, who we want to love, who we want to marry. Are you comfortable with this campaign called Love Jihad?
I will not go into this subject, Barkha, really speaking. But I can only tell you one thing. There may be aberrations everywhere. There can be a black sheep in any party. These sort of isolated aberrations, you should not condemn a party which is wedded to the welfare of the state.
Kerala has seen some of these controversies, and if you do enter politics, you will be asked questions about where you stand on it. One of the Kerala cases went all the way to the Supreme Court, as you know, in the context of these this love jihad politics. If you had to talk about it as an electoral issue, would you be comfortable doing so?
I will not enter into this sort of regional conflicts at all, or religious conflicts at all. I will only talk of development of the state, what is good for the state. Mm-hmm. My politics is only what is good for the state. But basically, in the form of infrastructure facilities, industries, and then most important thing today, Kerala is heading for a serious debt trap. Borrowing for everything, even borrowing outside the constitutional limits, what is said by the government or by the Reserve Bank. Do you know today, each Kerala person has 1.2 lakhs debt on his head. That is the amount of borrowing that has taken place. We are rushing towards a total bankruptcy. This has got to be stopped. Otherwise, after 3-4 years, the next government, they won't know what to do. These are the things I am concerned. I will not go into other these controversial religious issues or what is the religious.
Yes, you would like to focus on development in the economy,
development and financial health of the state.
The media has quoted you as being a defender of the Love Jihad campaign. Would you say that's incorrect?
No, I won't even say that. Maybe, see, 1 or 2 instances we should not generalize. I am of that opinion. So I will not comment any of those things. I won't like to give my opinion on such matters. This will unnecessarily create controversy. This is not my intention.
You will have to deal though with other issues. For example, the BJP is in states like Goa and and in Kerala if it campaigns, even in the Northeast, where, for example, the consumption of beef, even by Hindus, is a cultural tradition which is endemic to those states. In other parts, it's an issue of some sensitivity. How do you plan to navigate some of these more sensitive issues?
By educating people. Explain what has been tradition of this country. This country has been always worship cows. Now, because that is there, one section of the people should not try to antagonize it. Another section by celebrating beef parties. That is happening here. These sort of things we should not at all encourage, we should not unnecessarily allow to flare up at all. People may have their own choice, eating choices. Leave them to some of the things. Aberrations should not be unnecessarily got blown up. We should not do that.
You don't think food is a personal choice and it varies across cultures and communities? In Kerala, for example, eating beef would hardly raise an eyebrow. In Uttar Pradesh, it would be very different. So it does vary across regions and sometimes religions, sometimes across geographies, sometimes across cultures. You don't think that it should be a personal choice?
No. My only thing is, if we want to do any change, do it through education, through diplomacy. And so that no particular community is hurt or feel that they are being attacked. That sort of thing should not be allowed to happen. I am of that.
Talk a little bit about, I think everybody would see you as a very illustrious example of being an Indian patriot. You have spent your years contributing to the architecture of this country. But today we have an atmosphere where people are being branded treacherous and anti-nationals at the drop of a hat. And some people call this an environment of extreme hyper-nationalism where anyone with a dissenting opinion is immediately labeled. Are you comfortable with this? Are you comfortable as an indisputable patriot of this country? Are you comfortable with fellow citizens being called anti-nationals?
No, if they behave like anti-nationals, they have to be called anti-nationals. I'm not saying any particular example, but if they behave that, if they project the country as in a wrong way, that has got to be definitely discouraged. We should not do that.
What would be anti-national behavior for you? What would constitute anti-national behavior for you so that we use this phrase with sensitivity and with responsibility and not whimsically and lazily?
Any act or any propaganda which is injurious to the well-being of the state, you should not accept it. That is anti-national.
You have... Sorry, go ahead.
I want to join the politics. I joined BJP of the politics, not with any political agenda at all. My only agenda is how to make the state prosperous, how to improve the finances of the state, how so many very essential infrastructure facilities needed for the state can be brought in. BJP is only a conduit for this, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a fanatic about any of these particular political issues.
That's what a number of your fans are wondering, that how are you going to navigate some of the Hindu identity issues that are definitely part of the BJP's politics that they believe Mr. Sreedharan may not be very comfortable with. So I should ask you that, because you said you don't want to talk about religious issues, controversial issues, but those issues will follow you into politics as you take the plunge into politics. And certainly the BJP does identify with a certain sort of Hindutva politics. So how will you deal with that?
Not necessarily. I'm very confident I'll be able to navigate through all these controversies in a peaceful way, without treading anybody's legs on this. I'll be able to navigate it. You see, when you have such very, very rigid things, only this sort of thing happens. A lot of things.
What does the word Hindutva mean to you?
It means welfare for everyone. Loga samasta sukhino bhavantu. This is the essential of Hindutva. Loga samasta sukhino bhavantu. Let all people be well looked after. Let them be having the well-being. This is the essential of Hindutva. There may, as I am telling you, there may be aberrations, there may be some black sheep. We should not condemn Hindutva or Hindus or BJP because of these aberrations.
Do you think the BJP needs to be more inclusive with Muslim citizens of this country? Do you think that is one of its failings? And I ask you this because you're in a state which has a high percentage of Muslims in its population. Would you hope that Kerala's Muslims also look at you as a political option?
Yes, we have to move towards that end, that even Muslims have full confidence in me. I had to do it. It has got to be done because they're part of the state. They are citizens of the state. You have to look after them.
And how do you plan to run an inclusive campaign, and are you planning to contest elections?
I will conduct the election with the party once, and they have already hinted that I will have to stand for one of the constituencies. I have agreed for that.
So what will your campaign be focused on, and how will you make it a campaign for all communities and all people?
The development of the state is for all communities and for the entire state. I'm only going to concentrate on that. I'm not going to say the development will be only for this particular pocket of Muslims or this particular pocket of Hindus. No. What is good for the state, I will only concentrate on, irrespective of who gets the benefit of it. That's a different matter. If it is required for the state, it should be taken up.
What are the realistic?
I'm very confident I'll be able to function without hurting the feelings of any section of the society. And that is what really a politician should do. I am not a politician. Still, I'm still a technocrat. I have to get into that garb. But even when I get into the garb, I will not carry unnecessary baggage with me.
That's what I was going to ask you, because if you remember, when you were in charge of the Delhi Metro, and then at that time the Aam Aadmi Party had wanted free metro rides for women, you had written to the Prime Minister against this because you were worried about what that would do to the cost efficiency of the metro project. Now, this is what politics is about, right? So now you're going to be on the other side of the fence. You're saying you're not a politician, you're a technocrat, but you may have to make promises you don't believe in. How will you handle those?
Yeah, I will not enter into that. If I believe it is not good for that particular department or a particular company or for the state as a whole, I will not at all pursue it. Now, my stand that ladies should not be given free travel. Everybody has accepted it later on, I find now. Even Mr. Arvind Kejriwal also is not speaking about it anymore. That is required for the well-being of the state or the financial security of the MRC. It was required. So that is why I had to take it up. Same thing will be my attitude here. Attitude here. So.
But what about the religious issues you don't want to talk about? In other interviews, you've been quoted as talking about your own vegetarianism, how you're not very comfortable with maybe the consumption of beef per se. Like I said, even on Love Jihad, which you now don't want to talk about, you've been quoted defending it. How will Mr. Sreedharan, India's middle class icon, keep himself free from all of these divisive issues, these controversial issues, once you are in politics?
No, you see, there is a difference between being in politics and being passionate about improving the state of affairs in the state. It has got to be done. Any progress has got to be done. We have to take all sections of the society with you. And that is the watchword of Modi. Always he says, "Sabke saath." This will be my attitude also. I don't expect that because I am a Hindu or because I'm a vegetarian, other religious people or other communities will be against me. I don't at all believe in that. You see, unfortunately, the tradition of this country has been ahimsa, not to kill. And particularly kill cows, which is supposed to be a very sacred thing. We should respect that. We should persuade other communities or other religions also to respect it. They will gradually come around. But there may be in that also, there may be a few people, a couple of people, a dozen people can spoil the whole thing by celebrating, as I told you, meat festivities. That has taken place in Kerala just to create problem. A few people brought a cow, killed it, cooked it, and started eating open public, just to create this sort of thing. We should not encourage. This has to be done by persuasion, by advice, by education, by diplomacy.
Or by leaving people to live their personal choices, but not deliberately hurt each other's sentiments. That's how I would see it.
Yes. Without hurting the sentiments of other people, give them the choice to live the way they want.
Yes, I think that is something one can agree on, that food is a personal choice. Let's move on to your telling us that you are going to contest elections. You very bluntly said that governorship is not a post that interests you. You see it as a kind of redundant, inactive post. Talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about why governor is something that is boring to you.
No, I will not be interested at all. Sitting in the chair, a governor's living in a Raj Bhavan, I don't think you'll be able to do good for the country at all. That is a retired life. If I wanted a retired life, I could have done it now, right now. Why should I shift to a Raj Bhavan? I can do much better, have a nice life in my own home. So I'm not.
So you see the Raj Bhavan. You see the Raj Bhavan as retirement.
Yes, it's a retired luxury.
A retired luxury. The Raj Bhavan is a retired luxury. But you've spoken about being open to being chief minister, which is a great attitude. But the fact is that the BJP has literally no presence in your home state. So how realistic is this dream? How realistic is this dream?
My belief, Barkha, is if BJP projects me as the chief minister candidate, there will be a landslide migration to BJP.
If they project you.
Yes, a landslide migration.
Can you elaborate on that?
Pardon?
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, you see, because I have got a very good image throughout Kerala, through all sections of the society, with everyone. And they know that if I take over the chief minister, how things will run. I'll be running the state just like I had run the Delhi Metro. Delhi Metro, at one stage, 2005, that got the IMS award as the best corporate body. In that fashion, it will be done with particularly no favors to anyone, no particular vindictiveness. I will not even know, we will never talk about what has been done earlier. We'll only talk about what should be done hereafter. That sort of thing.
So you believe that if the BJP were to project you as a chief ministerial candidate, it could be a political game changer in Kerala where the BJP hardly has any presence?
Yes. Just imagine what has happened to Kejriwal himself. How did he come into power just like that? He had projected himself in some way and he had promised certain things to people. And overnight, you find even they could knock out Sheila Dikshit. Same thing will happen here. Even today, if you see the percentage of votes for BJP, they are the third highest. The gap is so little between BJP or the LDP or this very small gap only has to be filled. A changeover will come without any problem if we are able to project our intentions, how we will be running the state, what are the things we are promising to the people. It can completely change.
So you would like to not just contest elections, Mr. Sreedharan, you would like to be formally named as the BJP's chief ministerial candidate in these elections, and you believe that can change the fortunes of the BJP?
I will not insist on that.
Okay. But you think it's a good idea. But you do think it's a good idea.
Not only a good idea, probably a necessity. But you see, I am a person who does not, so far in my career, I have never asked anything for myself.
Right.
In Hindu terminology, nirapeksha, don't ask for anything for yourself. I'm not going to ask for it myself. If they consider that is the correct thing, and if they offer to me, well and good. And good for the party, good for the state.
Have you discussed it with them? Have you discussed it with them?
No,
Has there been any suggestion? Has there been any suggestion from them that they may want to see you as a chief ministerial candidate?
Number of suggestions, number of people have approached me for this. From BJP side itself. But not the top leaders. They may do it. We don't know. As I told you, I will not ask for anything specially for me. It should come on its own.
Okay, fair enough. But you've been very direct, and that's, by the way, also a non-political behavior. Politicians usually, in Hindi, they say "ghuma ghuma ke bolte hain." They talk in circles. You have said it very directly. Are you concerned that you may not be able to make the leap from technocrats to politics? Are you anxious that there are certain things that politicians do that you will not be able to do?
I will not try that. I will do what is right, what is just, what is good for the country. That's all. That's the only yardstick for me.
Are there certain things about, it happens to everybody. No one agrees with the party's politics in full. Even if you join some other party, I would ask you the same questions, that do you agree with this policy or that policy? For example, if you've gone with the left, I would ask you, do you believe with their economic policy? With the Congress, I would have asked you a different question. Are there certain dimensions of the BJP's politics that you would not touch, that you would not want to be associated with even as you join them? Or is this a full-fledged embrace of the BJP?
You are very right. There may be areas which I may not like, which I would not like to implement. I will definitely stand firm on that. As I told you, my litmus test will be, is it good for the country? Is it good for the society? I will not talk about is it good for the party? No. The whole focus is the welfare of the people, welfare of the state, not the welfare of the party. That is what is happening here today. They are only bothered about the party, their ideologies, not bothered at all about the people and their welfare.
Hmm.
This is how a ruler has got to be in that fashion.
You have said that you would like to talk a lot about the debt trap and the state of Kerala's economy. In the north, the government, the party that you are going to join very soon, is challenged by farmers' protests. I don't know how much of it you've been following. What is your own assessment of that as an economic and a social challenge for the BJP?
I think the Prime Minister has taken the right step to improve the lot of the farmers. Perhaps his actions are not well understood by many people. Perhaps there are people who are wanting to sabotage his intentions. Now, that is again one area I don't like to go in. I personally feel the farmers, the legislation that has been brought is in the best interest of farmers. And we should go ahead with that. There may be some doubts, there may be some opposition. They got to be sorted out. But if you don't do it, the farmers of India have no future during the next 10 to 15 years, I can tell you that. What all we have gained through Green Revolution, will be losing.
You have spoken about having a very good relationship with Sheila Dikshit. How would you describe your relationship with the Kerala Chief Minister, Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan? How would you describe that relationship?
My relationship with Vijay was not very good at all, I can tell you.
Why is that? Why is that?
Because many things which I wanted to do, he was opposing. He did not allow me to do it. He wanted me to do certain things which I did not like, so I did not take it up. So he was very unhappy. And that is why I had to walk away from the government, many of the government projects in Kerala.
What were the what were the key clashes over with the Chief Minister?
The real clash started with a railway line, Tellicherry-Mysore railway line. He wanted that line to be taken up because he belongs to Tellicherry, that is his constituency. He wanted Tellicherry-Mysore railway line to be taken up.
Right.
I said, this is not correct. There is already a sanction work included in the railway budget from Nelambur to Mysore, a railway line, which is much more advantageous to Kerala state. Whereas Tellicherry-Mysore line is absolutely no advantage to the state at all, and it will be running into terrible losses. So this was the main bone of contention. When he found that I was not willing to come around to this thing, he started ignoring me, many things, and I was not happy to continue with him also. So all the projects I was doing at that time, I withdrew. Because I wanted the support I wanted. I was doing the light metro project for Trivandrum. I was doing the light metro project for Kozhikode. I was doing a high-speed railway line from Trivandrum to Kannur, and many other projects. And only on this issue that the Tellicherry-Mysore line he wanted, which I did not agree. This is what I'm telling you. This will be my attitude everywhere. If it is not good for the state, simply because a politician wants it or chief minister wants it, I'm not going to implement it.
But you can do that today as the Metroman. When you're in the BJP, how will you disagree with the BJP if you do?
That will be the same stand. Either I should convince them this is not correct, or I will have to walk out. I know a situation. Certainly no, but I will not do a thing which is not good for the country.
So what happened with Vijayan eventually? You withdrew from the projects. Did he try and get you back?
No. He tried to get me back only when he was in serious trouble with another bridge, Palarivattam Bridge. It was become a big scandal in the state. A scandal started in the Congress regime, really speaking. He wanted somehow to come out of that. And he wanted my technical assistance, which I gave. He was good enough to accept my suggestion. Ultimately, he even entrusted work to me. And a work which normally should have taken in 24 months, I am doing it in 5.5 months. And that will be over by 5th of March. That is why I said with that, my professional responsibilities are totally over.
Who are some of the other politicians that you've had a chance to work with, whom you had a happier experience with? Clearly, with Mr. Vijayan, it was not a happy experience. Who have been some of the leaders that you have found have respected you professionally, that you have enjoyed working with?
In Kerala itself, good. I would say Mr. Oman Chandy. I have got a great respect for him. He was the chief minister earlier. I worked with him very well. There was no problem at all. But I don't agree on the policies of the Congress party at that time. But as far as I was concerned, just like Sheila Dikshit, whatever was required to be done by me, he was giving full support and full patronage, I would say. So I got a great respect for him.
What made you choose the BJP above others? Since there are individual Congress leaders or other leaders you've liked, if there was that one defining characteristic about the BJP, what would that be, that central pull? And how would you describe your relationship with the Prime Minister?
Prime Minister, I had an excellent relationship, I would say. Very good, excellent relationship. And the BJP, the only reason is I cannot go with the other two parties, definitely.
Okay.
They are all scandal driven. BJP, I felt that is a party which I can definitely carry with me. And that they are people very patriotic, very passionate, committed to truth, transparency, integrity. This is what is required.
Okay, a last question to you. If you had to change one thing, because you come in as a non-politician, and you by your own description are a technocrat and not a politician. If you have to change one thing about politics and you had the power to do it, what would that be?
The most important thing is I want all politicians to be absolutely honest, integrity. And then they should, whatever promises they give to people, they should be able to achieve their promises. These are the two things. You should not mislead the people by false promises. And integrity is the most thing. You should not allow corruption to come up again in the country. And that is what is happening in Kerala, full of corruption everywhere.
What are the chances that the BJP will do better in Kerala this time?
I feel with my joining BJP, there will be a complete change in the image of BJP in this whole state. And seeing me with the BJP, very many people will definitely come forward. As I told you, the margin is so small today between the three parties. This margin can be easily made up. And BJP can definitely, if not come to power, they can at least be the kingmaker. And kingmaker is absolutely of no use, according to me. Again, we'll be always playing politics. If you want to really do good for the state, they should have the full powers.
All right, E Sreedharan, it's nice to see you so energized. I do, I think what's brilliant about this is that we always say good people should join politics. So, the party, of course, is your choice. But the fact that at 88, you're still raring to go, I think should be an inspiration to us all. All the best for your new avatar. And thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Barkha Dutt. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care, sir. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.